Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Gizmo Joe. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll know that last week I took a look at the Google Home Mini, and this week, obviously, we are taking a look at the Amazon Echo Dot. So this is the Alexa smart speaker from Amazon. This is their smallest version. This is a third gen Echo Dot. So there have been 3 different versions of this. The last one I had, it looked like a little hockey puck, and the sound quality wasn't fantastic on it. So I wanted to check out the third gen one to see if they improved the sound quality, because with the Google Home Mini, I've actually been really impressed by how loud that thing is without having any sort of distortion. So let's take a look at what's in the box here, and then we'll kind of put it through its paces and see how it stacks up against the Google Home Mini. Anyway, I've already broken the seal here, but essentially on the box you'll notice that it just basically says that, it's got Alexa, Bluetooth, connects to your Wi-Fi, obviously. It's got an audio line out, which I think is handy. It just tells you some basic stuff about it, blah, 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 blah. What's interesting about the third gen one is that it definitely looks a lot better. It looks more premium compared to the other first and second gen. Still has that hockey puck shape, but it's got the fabric around it, so I think it just looks a little bit classier. So now if we open up the box here, obviously you've got the speaker itself, you've got some documentation, and way down at the bottom here you have your AC adapter. So the box is now empty. I'll set that off to the side. Alright, so first things first, let's take a look at the speaker real quick. Again, hockey puck shape. It's a little bit bigger than the first and second gen. And like I said, it's got that sort of fabric cloth surrounds, kind of like a speaker grill almost. I'm not sure if there is the speaker goes all the way around the device. I doubt it. But up at the top, you've got your buttons, so your volume up and down. You've got the mute button and your power button as well. On the bottom, nothing. It does have a bit of a rubberized bottom, so that helps it from slipping. And then over on the side here, you have your AC in, so that's where it gets its power, and then your line out. That's a 3.5 mil jack. Anyway, let's set that off to the side for now. Take a quick look at the AC adapter. So, a couple things that are a bit annoying. Why is this so big? I just don't know why. Here in Australia, it's a pain. I won't be able to plug in anything on either side of this thing. It's just a big brick. And now I understand that there's some transforming or whatever that needs to be done in this brick. Have it separate. Have it down here somewhere so that it's just a normal plug up at the top so that it doesn't crowd my whole surge depressor. But again, minor gripe, but it's a bit of a pain. If I got to hunt around and unplug things and move things around just to plug it in, it's a bit annoying. Anyway, the cable is I think a couple meters. It definitely is pretty long, but it's a barrel plug. So now the issue is that if this thing conks out, or if something happens to the cable, it gets frayed. I mean, I should mention that it's a high quality cable. It's got that rubberized texture feel to it, so it seems like it's a pretty good quality, and I would imagine from Amazon they wouldn't skimp out. But you'll notice that it is a barrel plug, so that fits in just like that. The issue is obviously if something happens to this adapter or the cord gets frayed or whatever, I gotta go buy another one of these. I can't just simply replace it with, say if it was like a micro USB cable or something like that, I can just swap it out for another one that I may have lying around the house, and God knows I have quite a few of them. But this guy, it's a barrel plug, it's a proprietary plug. That's a bit annoying. I don't particularly like that. It is what it is though. What are you gonna do? Set that off to the side for now. Let's just take a look at the speaker itself. Again, let's get this stuff off and let's have a better look at it. So it's got this plasticky junk around it. I'm not really sure what that's supposed to do. But let's take a look at the build quality. So build quality is very nice. There's really no sharp edges or anything. Everything is very smooth. And it looks pretty good. I have to admit that I'm not really sure which one I like more, the Google Home Mini or the Amazon Echo Dot. I sort of lean towards the Google Home Mini just because it has that sort of like convex shape. I don't know, I think it just looks a little bit cooler. This looks a bit plain to me, but I will say that this third gen Echo Dot is much better looking than the first and second gen. If you're familiar with the first and second gen, they are basically just hunks of plastic, and they just don't look all that great. They just look like little black dots. And that's probably where the name comes from, but they just look like little black dots that are sitting around your house. So they're not very impressive looking. But this one definitely looks a bit better. The other thing that I really like about the Echo Dots is this gray strip that runs all the way around the speaker itself. That lights up. So if you're familiar with, I think it actually shows you on the box. Yeah, so it lights up that sort of cool blue. Now, what's really good about that is that that's an indicator light. So when you say Alexa or whatever and it wakes up, you can see that. I know I mentioned in my previous video that the Google Home Mini has the dots up at the top, and unless you're sort of like looking straight at it, you can't really tell when that speaker's been activated. So I have a bit of an issue with that because, again, with these sort of listening devices, you're always concerned about privacy and stuff like that. So you don't want necessarily the Google Home Mini to be listening to every little thing that you say, but you can't really tell if it is or not because you can't really see those little light up dots up at the top. This has a much more noticeable LED ring, I guess you could call it, that runs around the entire speaker. So I actually quite like that. I think that's a really good deal. Now, the other thing that's different compared to the Google Home Mini is your line out. So this allows you to essentially hook this up to an existing speaker system. It's just a 3.5 mil, so if you just have an aux cable, you can plug that into your stereo and then essentially use your stereo speakers as your Amazon Alexa. Which is really cool. I should also mention that this guy has Bluetooth as well, so you can do the same thing with a Bluetooth speaker. That means if you have a decent Bluetooth speaker that puts out better sound or whatever, you can connect this Echo Dot to your Bluetooth speaker and have all the playback occur through your Bluetooth speaker. So that's a really nice feature that is somewhat missing on your Google Home Mini. I should also mention that Amazon Alexa does have a leg up on third-party support, so it just has more skills. It can do more stuff, and it's compatible with more third-party things like, say, for instance, Sonos speakers and stuff like that. So if you're looking for something that has more compatibility with other third-party products, you're probably going to want to stick with the Echo Dot. Now, Google Home Mini, I'm sure, is going to be playing catch-up in the next couple of years. So, I mean, you've seen them furiously try to, incorporate all of the things that the Echo can do into their sort of system as well. So I think, they'll close the gap pretty soon, and that won't really be much of an issue. So, like I said, it all comes down to essentially performance and how well it sounds. I will say this, that the Echo Dot has, I believe, 7 different microphones around it. So this thing can hear you pretty well. I've put it through its paces, and I've been in the kitchen, separate rooms and stuff like that. I've shouted out, Alexa, this thing can hear me. The Google Home Mini, not so much. The Google Home Mini only has 2 microphones in it. So I find that if you're not speaking directly towards it in a clear sort of voice, it doesn't always wake up. Again, not a huge issue for me because I live in an apartment, so my house is pretty small, so I don't really have to worry about it. But if you were in a bigger house with lots of wide open spaces, you might have some problems with the Google Home Mini. Same cannot be said for this guy, though. This one has, like I said, 7 directional speakers built in here somewhere, or sorry, not speakers, microphones. So it's going to be able to hear you fairly well at any given point. Now, there is one major issue that I have with the Echo Dot, and that's the speaker. It looks like that this thing is a speaker, and it's just not. It's there for looks. I believe that the Amazon Echo Dot is very poor speaker quality. I feel like the audio sounds somewhat muddled or muffled, if you will, compared to the Google Home Mini. Google Home Mini is very crisp, very clear, good bass, good highs, good mids. This is not as good. Again, you have the ability to hook up a Bluetooth speaker or run it to your existing stereo system, which is nice. But using it by itself definitely is not fantastic. So you're probably, if you're going to be using it by itself, you probably want it in a sort of bedroom or another quiet sort of area, because it just doesn't have the same sort of sound quality. I wouldn't really recommend listening to music on the Amazon Echo Dot by itself. Again, if you have it connected to your stereo or a Bluetooth speaker, that's a different story. but it's just not all that great. So why don't we plug it in and have a look at the speaker quality. All right, guys, so we have the Amazon Echo Dot plugged in, ready to go. I should mention before we start that you will have to download an app. It is the Amazon Alexa app. Notice how I say Alexa and it comes on. That nice blue LED appears, let you know that it's listening. So it's probably going to say something to us. Maybe not.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, so there you go. So we'll play a little bit longer audio, but you can even tell just then that the voice is somewhat muffled. The volume isn't bad, it's not terrible, but it's not as loud as the Google Home Mini. Now, going back to the app, you'll notice that it has suggestions and stuff for you to do, which I think is actually really cool because you can discover all the sort of things that you can do with it through the app. So this is really handy for somebody who may not be very tech savvy or doesn't really know how to use this particular thing. Just straight into the app, and it's going to give you a whole bunch of suggestions as to what to do, how to set it up, the skills it has, etc., etc. So I actually quite like the app. I think it's clean. It makes more sense to me than the Google Home app, which I feel, even though it is sort of sparse looking and has that sort of material-esque design, it's kind of cluttered. Things are hidden. It's not very intuitive, I guess is what I'm trying to say. This particular app does, on the other hand, feel a little bit more intuitive. So let's try playing a podcast just so that you guys can hear some voices and stuff from this particular speaker. Like I said, in my opinion, it's just not as crisp or as clear as the Google Home Mini. So what I'll try doing is playing a podcast. I really like this one called How Did This Get Made? It's about really, really crummy movies. But if you guys haven't heard of that one, check it out. I'm not affiliated with them in any particular way. I'm just a fan. Anyway, so to get this speaker up and running, as we saw, you have to say, Alexa, play How Did This Get Made podcast.
Here's How Did This Get Made from TuneIn.
Hey everybody, before we start the show, I have a very important announcement to make. We want to make sure that we're advertising the right products for
So as you can see, when you turn it down as well, the LED light goes down, which I think is really cool. It's a nice little feature. So when you say to it, Alexa, increase volume, you'll notice that that light bar goes up further. Now, you could also just do it manually if you're in
take
arm's
a quick
reach.
anonymous survey. They'll help
Let's pump it up all the way.
a little bit better. That way, we can also show our advertisers who
that's
you
it.
are.
That's as
That
loud
helps
as it
us
goes.
So much. I know. I feel like I'm begging you right now to do that, and I am. I am begging you to do it because this is the only way that we can kind of.
So it's pretty loud, but like I said, in comparison to the Google Home Mini, I think it's just isn't as crisp, isn't as clear. So if you're going to be using your Echo Dot in order to make and receive phone calls, which is one of the cool features about it, you may have a bit of an issue with some of the call clarity. Let's try playing some music. Okay, so I don't know if that came across all that well in the video, but the music I felt, again, is somewhat muddled. I don't think it sounds all that great, especially when compared to the Google Home Mini. So what is my final sort of impression? Well, I think if you're going to be using your Echo Dot in order to add some smart feature functionality to an existing stereo system or a Bluetooth speaker that you really like, then this is obviously the way to go. Alexa just has more skills. Notice how, again, she's listening. But you could also, I love that blue LED indicator light that sort of shows when it's listening and when it's active. The Google Home Mini, on the other hand, has a superior speaker. So if you're using it by itself, if you're using the Google Home Mini by itself, then you'll definitely want to grab that one because I just feel like it definitely is loud enough to fill a room, and it just has better sound quality overall. I will say that I think the app of the Echo Dot is a little bit easier to use and it's a little bit more user friendly. So if you're giving this to someone as a gift who may not be all that tech savvy or whatever, then the Amazon Echo is probably the way to go, just because it's a little bit easier to set up. Now, I will say that this one definitely has better voice recognition. Although, even though it can hear you really well, I have to say that it has more errors in terms of answering your questions. So it misunderstands you with more frequency than the Google Home. The Google Home, even though it may not hear you all the time, when it does hear you, it does respond more accurately, in my opinion, or just from my testing. But anyway, I think whichever one you go for, you're going to be pretty happy with. The Echo Dot has some additional functionality which is missing off of the Google Home Mini, but like I said, Google is working furiously to play catch up with Amazon, so they should probably close that gap fairly soon. So generally, in my opinion, I think the Google Home Mini is a little bit better, but that's just, again, my opinion. Your circumstances may mean that the Echo Dot is more suitable for you. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hit that like button, drop me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. I come out with new content every single week, and it would be great to see some more subscribers. Anyway, that's going to do it for me for this week. Have a good one. This is Gizmo Joe signing off.